Welcome everybody to the Boost Up Bridge Grand Finale. We are thrilled to be coming to you live from Milan during World Manufacturing Week. My name is Caitlin McGovern. I'm a Senior Program Manager at EIT Manufacturing as part of our business creation team, and I'll be hosting the introduction section for Boost Up Bridge today. Before we get started, I wanted to give a very warm welcome to all of our network partners, startups, colleagues, and friends who may be watching us. You're very welcome to be with us, and we're very happy to have you with us. Now, Boost Up Bridge is the third edition of the Boost Up competition series, which began in 2020. For those of you that might be more familiar with our Boost Up competitions, you'll know that this one is a bit unique. We designed it from a need that we identified from two of our most important stakeholder groups, corporates and startups. The intention of Boost Up Bridge is literally to build bridges between corporates and startups. We wanted to provide an access to innovation, opportunity for corporates, and an access to market opportunity for startups. Now, we began our Boost Up Bridge journey before the summer. We asked corporates for several challenges that were live and quite meaningful within their organizations. And then we launched a call for our startups to respond with solutions, which they've been busily working on over the past several months. Now, if we take a walk through our agenda today, we'll start with an introduction panel. I have several guests, which I'll introduce in a short moment, to speak about the importance of open innovation and the role of startups when it comes to acting within the European manufacturing ecosystem. Then we'll have our pitching sessions, the 8 finalists, and a short break as our jury deliberates. But during that short break, I'll have several of my colleagues from the innovation team speak about Agora, which is our social network and open innovation platform for the pan-European manufacturing ecosystem. Then we'll finish off with awarding and announcing the winners. Now, as a reminder, the finalist teams are competing for the chance to integrate their solutions with the corporates. To get them started, we'll be giving them a cash prize of €50,000 and growth packages of support services for each of the winning projects. So I can promise you a very exciting afternoon. Now, to open our first session, I'd like to introduce some special guests. First, we have Klaus Beetz, the CEO of EIT Manufacturing. Thank you very much, Klaus, for being here today.
It's a pleasure.
Second, we have Paolo Calafati, who holds the role as Head of Additive Manufacturing and Innovation at Prima Industry, and he's also a member of our EIT Manufacturing Supervisory Board. So thank you, Paolo, for being here.
Thank you to you.
And then lastly, we have Tobias Elmquist, who's the Director of Business Creation at EIT Manufacturing. Thank you for being here, Tobias. Klaus, if I could start with you, could I ask you to just briefly introduce EIT Manufacturing for those that might not be familiar with the organization?
Yeah, thank you, Caitlin, for the nice introduction, and a warm welcome to all the people that are watching us and listening to us. EIT Manufacturing is one of the youngest so-called KICS, Knowledge and Innovation Communities, under the umbrella of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. We started our operation last year, the 1st of January 2020, and we are close to 70 partners, half of them from industry, the others universities, RDOs, and spread all over Europe. And we are really an innovation community focusing on innovation. That really research, development, and innovation, R&D and I, and not R&D and die. So this is what we are looking for, and our vision is quite simple. You know, Europe has been always the home of industry and a pioneer in manufacturing innovation, starting with Industry 1.0, where we moved from manual work to mechanical labor, Industry 2.0, where the electricity brought a lot of innovations into our shop floors early in the last century. Industry 3.0, where the first wave of digitalization automated a lot of steps in our product lines, in our factories and plants. There we talked a lot about embedded hardware. Now we are in Industry 4.0. We are talking about, in Industry 3.0, we talked about embedded software. Now we are talking about embedded hardware. Every equipment in our product lines, in our factories and plants, is embedded in an IT infrastructure, is connected to a digital backbone, is connected to other things. And that also in the future, beyond Industry 4.0, in Industry 5.0, in Industry 6.0, Europe will be the leading and driving continent for manufacturing innovation. This is our vision. And therefore, we want to bring together all relevant stakeholders in Europe the industry, the universities, the RDOs, but also industry association, the public society to bring really innovation in manufacturing forward and making Europe a role model for green and sustainable manufacturing.
Thank you, Klaus. And you mentioned the mission and the vision in your response. Could you tell us a little bit about how you see Booster Bridge fitting with the mission and vision of EIT manufacturing?
Yeah, Booster Bridge is a very, very important instrument. We have to bring the startups and the established industry closer together. The startups in Europe, especially in the manufacturing domain, facing two main challenges. One is that setting up a new venture in manufacturing is very capital intensive. You know, this is different from the digital world. As a web entrepreneur, you need mostly a laptop and a URL and you can start your business. In the manufacturing, you need much more capital and investment to set up your first product line, to scale up your product line, to mass production, and so forth. And the second is that we are in Europe still very fragmented. You know, to move out of the local ecosystem for startups in other countries in Europe with other tax system, with other legislation, with another language, with another culture, is still a big hurdle. And here we see our support as European organization to help these promising startups to grow out of their local ecosystem on a European level and beyond. And therefore, we need also the established industry to bring them together to help these promising startups to grow.
Thanks, Klaus. Paulo, if I could move on to you, could you tell us a little bit about Prima Industry and your role there?
Yes, of course, of course. First of all, thank you, Klaus, for your words, because everything, in my opinion, was read in a correct way. You know, the picture is very complete. My role in Prima Industria is the Vice President in Innovation and Additive Manufacturing. Prima Industria is a company born 40 years ago. My boss, the founder, Mr. Carbonato, was a start-upper at the time. So we can talk about the story of the maturation, technology maturation, business maturation. Prima Industria born as a company focused in mechatronic and in the technology consultancy. Then we got a specialization in laser for material processing. And today Prima Industria is organized in three divisions. The first one is the biggest, called Prima Power. That is the division for the sheet metal working machinery. That is a very international division, focused on the huge international market. Mm-hmm. Then the second one is the division focused on components, so electronic, numeric control, and the laser sources. And then we have the third division, the newest one, that is a startup. No, that is called Prima Additive. I'm leading this third division, but because my role is also innovation, and then I'm driving this new division versus the business. Our DNA is, of course, innovation and technology. I think that today Prima Industria is composed by 1,800 more or less employees. We have a very high level of technology peer employee, in my opinion. And we still have that kind of, let's say, attitude that is technology innovation for manufacturing. So this is why we join the EIT manufacturing since the beginning, because it's very important to keep this DNA and to foster all possible opportunity, also through venturing, through startups. And then what Klaus said before is correct. No? For the manufacturing sector, especially for the hardware, and we are very specialized in hardware, the cost, the development cost, but also the innovation level require a lot of investment in this sense.
Thank you. Could you talk a little bit more? You mentioned how Prima Industry kind of grew up as a startup. Could you talk a little bit more about how you're using open innovation today to push some of your ambitions?
Well, I can tell you about two stories. No? The first one was a story that we had in 2005, 2006. We produced in the past the CO2 laser. We still produce the CO2 laser, to be honest. And all our machines were equipped at that time with the CO2 laser. No? So after 2005, with the fiber laser, we started seeing some change into the market. And then it was important for us recovering the competencies, the skills, and this technology for our machines. Today, 98% of our machines are equipped with fiber laser, no more CO2. And we converted our factory, our CO2 laser factory, to a fiber laser. But this happened because we had a very important collaboration with the Polytechnic of Turin, and we insourced all that kind of competencies for the laser, the fiber laser. Without this collaboration, we didn't have any opportunity to improve our business in that sense and to change our business. From that kind of, from that experience, that was a joint lab, public-private lab, together, born a diode factory, where we produce today the diodes that are the heart of our fiber laser source. So this is one of the history of open innovation that we lived. And the new one is always the Prima additive that is born by our participation to a startup. And now we are a spin-off in the business because we are merging our division Prima additive with this startup. And then we are going this business in a safe way, in my opinion, because we started investing in technology since 2013. Then we founded a new division, Prima additive, but Prima additive today is just a brand. It's not a company, it's not a legal entity. But in the meanwhile, we invested in this startup called 3D New Technologies. Our business grew very fast till today. And now we are merging Prima additive brand will be given to 3D New Technologies. And we have a very important operation where a third-party financial investor, but also a very important company in additive manufacturing, are investing in this merge. And then we create a very profitable division, with the right level of investment. This is two examples of our open innovation strategy.
Very interesting. Thank you for sharing those. If I could take a bit of a reflection on Booster Bridge, when we designed it, we were thinking about challenges that could be scalable within an organization, but also potentially across other verticals. Could you share some thoughts about how important it is for solutions to be scalable within an organization?
The organization today, especially for the company with the size of Prima Industria, that are not so huge but are not so small, the most important part is the focus. As a Prima Industria, we know that we should keep our attention on our core business. It's difficult to invest on different sectors, on different areas. It's very critical also the level of investment that today are requested to a company for the innovation programs. For this reason, we have to be competitive, and our business is very fast. We have the business that is very fast compared to the business of a mobile phone. It's strange, because we produce something that is on the B2B market. So it seems that we don't need to innovate so frequently, but it happens. No? For this reason, when you have to talk about the new technologies, I told before about the fiber laser and the additive manufacturing. You have to be very prompt. This is the point. A community like the EIT manufacturing allow you to be in contact with a new startup, to stay every day aligned on the new technologies, to have a partner for that. And this is very important. For this reason, the scalability is something that the company could provide, but you need of an ecosystem. And also because you have to pay attention to three factors. First, timing. Innovation, open innovation is a very abused term in my opinion. No? The innovation is innovation when it could be profitable. So the timing is the crucial factor for that. And then joining the program like this program is very important. Second, the focus. You have not to be disrupted, no, by new trend, because today, your investment should be focused on your core business. No? And the third factor is skills, very important. Also the reskilling program, upskilling program, and also because when you insource startups, you are insourcing new competencies, new technologies. In this way, it's not just important the scalability for the startup. It's important because you can insource something of new that make you more competitive in your business. This is the point.
Yeah, very, very key words. If I could ask you one last question, you mentioned the importance of startups and their role within helping corporates find open innovation. Would you have any words of advice for startups that might have interesting solutions but don't necessarily know how to approach a corporate like Prima Industry or some of your clients?
Yeah, today we are living a change, no? A digitalization change and so on. We talked before about scalability, new technologies, skills, profitability, and so on. But once you propose a new technology, you should pay attention to a very crucial factor, that is the business model. Today it's difficult to make your innovation profitable if you don't propose your innovation in the same term as the old traditional stuff. No? My suggestion for startups is to pay attention to what they are proposing, because it could be very brilliant, but the business model is a crucial part. Also because the business model means many things, not just technology, not just integration, not just scalability, but also financial requirements. And financial requirement is a crucial part. No? So business model becomes a key factor to introduce new technologies, to introduce a startup to a traditional business, or to stay close to the companies.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of startups with brilliant ideas, but the business model might be lacking. So you're looking for the whole package.
Yeah.
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 Very good. Thank you, Paolo. Tobias, if I could move on to you, could you briefly introduce business creation to those that might not be as familiar with it?
Sure. So we are one of the pillars of EIT manufacturing, and we have a number of services to help startups and grow, basically. The two main ones would be access to market and access to finance. Access to market is helping startups grow across the continent, basically, and also in new verticals. Access to finance is more around preparing a startup for raising funds, introducing them to investors, but also from time to time participating ourselves in the financing round.
And now you have a background in venture investing. Before you joined EIT Manufacturing, you worked at Maersk Ventures, at Chalmers, and also at Volvo Group. So you've met a lot of companies. What do you look for when you meet startups?
So I think the primary thing is a big problem to solve. But the other thing that we look a lot for also is a team that would be able to solve that problem. And third, as Paolo said, the timing, right? Is now the right timing to do it? Is it too late? Is it too early? It can be neither, honestly.
Good. We spoke a little bit about that this is the third edition of Boost Up, and I understand that the past two editions attracted quite a large number of startups, but as we spoke about before, Boost Up Bridge is a bit unique. Could you elaborate on how this one's different from the previous two?
Yeah. So in the two earlier versions, we had more generic problems or a more generic competition. In this event, we have specific live problems from 4 large corporates that we're helping solve, and that is a major difference, right? Because what we saw is that large corporates has a problem finding startups to help them solve their problems, but in the same time, the startups also have a problem finding the right person to speak to in the corporates. So that's why we designed this bridge between the two, basically.
And we have 4 great corporate challenges this time around. What would you say to corporates who might be watching this and could be interested in submitting challenges for future Boost Up Bridge competitions?
I think, first of all, thanks to the 4 that are here today, Whirlpool, KUKA, voestalpine, and Roski, who submitted their challenges this year. To the rest of you, we at EIT Manufacturing, we can help you with a lot of open innovation resources and problems, basically. So we look forward to seeing you here next year on stage with us.
And for the other party, for the startups, what would you say to startups that might be interested in applying for next year's competition?
Yeah, this is easier. This is the just do it kind of answer, right? This is a great stepping stone to solve a proper problem for a large corporate, and it will help you grow significantly, probably. On top of the 50K euro prize, you also get services from the business creation team to help you implement the solution.
Good, and if I can ask you one last question, if a startup is interested in getting in touch with the business creation team before next year's competition, how can they do that?
Right, so we have a number of programs that run around the year, basically. We just changed the names, so they're called Switch On, which is for early stage startups. Supercharge, which is for companies with more commercial traction, and then Level Up, which is a transformation program for companies looking to transform their business in terms of digitalization, sustainability, or circular manufacturing. And the easiest way to get in contact with us is through the email address business.creation@eitmanufacturing.eu.
Great. Thanks very much, Tobias. Before we go on to the next session, could I ask each of you if you have any parting words of advice for the finalists today?
Yeah, okay. Can just tell to the startup that will now do their bidding. Winning is the beginning. As Tobias said, it's not only the prize you will get, you will be part of our exciting community. You will be connected not only to the one partner you are now bidding for, also to other industries. You will have the opportunity to get connected to RDOs and universities. So we will support you on your individual needs by our business creation team. So winning is the beginning of an exciting journey of EIT Manufacturing with you as a startup.
Well, totally agree with Klaus, of course. No, so good luck for the race. No, but at the end, I think that being in this ecosystem is important. It's important that you have a kind of show, no, for what they could do, for what we could do for them, no, in terms of EIT manufacturing, and this is very important. And also because there are many initiatives regarding startups and so on. But I think that this initiative is a very healthy initiative. No? I think that the EIT manufacturing take care about startups, take care about business creation, about the ecosystem. I think it's the right place to propose something and then to show what they are capable to do.
Well, I think so. My favorite saying from history is from Louis Pasteur, and it is "Luck favors the prepared." And I think we will see today that there are a lot of well-prepared teams, so they probably don't even need luck.
Thank you very much for joining us here as guests today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, before we go on to the pitches, I just want to remind you of the Boost Up Bridge journey so far. And to do that, I have a short video clip that I'd like to roll.
Boost Up Bridge aims at connecting startups with large industries in an attempt to deploy and quickly scale innovative solutions. Startups often struggle to deploy their solution into the relevant markets. At the same time, corporates often struggle to scout and acquire innovative technologies. This is where Boost Up Bridge comes in. It seeks to build bridges for the technologies of startups to be implemented in addressing the industrial challenges of our corporate partners. To kick off the Boost Up Bridge journey, we engaged with our corporate partners to identify industrial challenges, scalable within the organization, but also applicable to other verticals. A call to our startup ecosystem is sent out, asking for a mature solution relevant to the industrial challenges. Eligible startups get invited to workshops with the corporate partners to better understand each challenge. They get about a month to submit solutions. Finalist teams, evaluated by an independent jury, are invited to pitch their solutions at Boost Up Bridge final competition. Winners get the opportunity to work in collaboration with our corporate partners for the implementation of the solution. They get financial prizes as well as business creation services. Join us on our Boost Up Bridge journey. Boost Up Bridge, actively supporting the deployment of innovative solutions into the European manufacturing ecosystem.
So as you can see, it's been quite a journey already for the startups, but as Klaus said, winning is only the beginning, so we have quite the journey ahead as well. Now we're almost at the moment that you've all been waiting for, the finalist pitching session. But just to give you a bit of background on how competitive the selection process has been so far. So we received more than 60 applications. Those applications came from more than 13 European countries. Today we'll have 2 finalists per challenge, 8 different teams, and those 8 teams represent 8 different countries. So quite a diverse group of individuals and teams that have come forward. If I can remind you of the challenges, we have Whirlpool, which has net zero operations. Whirlpool, because of unforeseen circumstances, the jury member and corporate representative is not able to join us today. So the startups that have been chosen as finalists for that challenge will be presenting next week with the same jury members, and then we'll make the video available to viewers who would like to watch it after. After Whirlpool, we have Aroski, which will be optimizing product shelf life. KUKA, with the challenge Trust Scan, sharing reliable quality. And then lastly, but of course not least, Vestelpine, measuring and modeling CO2 emissions. Now, before I hand over to my colleague Gala, who will introduce the jury members as well as kicking off our pitching sessions, we're going to take a short break, so fill up your coffee cups and then come back and join us.
Welcome, everybody. As Caitlin said, it's now the time to get to know our jury members. Thank you for being here with us today. It's a pleasure, and we're looking forward to getting to know you a bit more right now. So first, we have Lucia Kierkia, Managing Partner at Jellyfy, a B2B innovation platform that invests in startups and drives companies in the execution of technology roadmaps. Welcome, Lucia.
Thanks. Hi, everybody.
Lucia, you have a history on launching and supporting opening innovation programs. If you need to choose 3 words that describe the best success factors for these programs to be amazing, what would those be?
The first, for sure, entrepreneurship. Because we think that corporate managers have to change their leadership style towards an entrepreneurship approach to lead differently the decision process in uncertainty, like innovation requires. The second could be venturing. That means something beyond open innovation. That means a new collaborative and even investment models between corporates and startups. And the third, probably I like to call phygital, because the factory of the future probably has a new dimension that we can call phygital. That means or requires the integration of a digital layer into a physical context. That's the real challenge, probably.
I really love that concept, phygital. I'm going to take note of that to take it with me for future events. Thank you so much for sharing that. Very interesting approach. If we go next to a different type of corporation, we have Unai Sardon. He's the innovation manager at Eroski. Eroski is a leading groceries retailer in Spain. Unai, welcome. It's great to have you here with us.
Hi, Gara, thanks.
Unai, how important it is for Eroski to continuously innovate? How important is for you guys to keep innovating?
Well, it's key. I mean, we believe that if a company doesn't innovate, you die. Well, we have been in the business for more than 50 years, and we have remained that long because we continuously innovate. And our objective is to live another 50 years, if no more, right? The thing is that what is important for the customers today, it was not important back then, because you need to continuously adapt. Before, in the 60s, in the 70s, probably, food safety was one of the key topics for the customers. Nowadays, you need to provide that. Otherwise, you are dead. So you need to start talking about food waste, health, and so on. For us, it's in this innovation strategy, it's key to collaborate with all the stakeholders in the industry, including startups, of course.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think customers are requiring more and more for the products to be healthier, more sustainable, and retailers like you have an important role in this to happen. So I'm really happy to hear that this is so important for you guys. Thank you, Nai. Next, we have Florian Snotch. He's the platform manager at KUKA. It's one of the world's leading suppliers of intelligent automation solutions. Florian, welcome. It's great to have you here with us.
Hi, it's nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm curious to know, how was your experience at KUKA? No? Like if you need to think of how you've been engaging with scale-ups, what are the opportunities for you guys to be doing more of that, no? Of engaging?
So the word open innovation has already been mentioned a lot of times today. And also at KUKA, innovation is really the key driver of business, you can say. And if you don't innovate, you will basically lose. So you have no choice, but you have to innovate. And therefore, cooperation with smaller startups, scale-ups, is part of our daily business. In our corporate research, in the early beginnings of the innovation, until the actual product development, innovation is really key.
I totally agree with you, yes. Can I ask you something? Was it very hard to get to the finalists that you brought today to the event?
It was really hard. So there were a lot of proposals for our challenge, and it was hard to decide. But I think the two finalists we've chosen for today really stood out of all the applicants, and I'm excited to see their solution proposals.
Wow, that means that it was quality out there. Amazing. Looking forward to that. So next, we have Philip Horner from Voestalpine. He's the head of business optimization and circular economy for Voestalpine High Performance Metals, a division of Voestalpine focusing on high performance materials and customer-specific services. Philip, welcome. It's great to have you here. I'm curious to know, I know you're into circular economy a lot, so I wanted to ask you, can you tell us your journey as in circular economy in Voestalpine? What is your experience? And we really think it must be very exciting for you to be able to have an impact, no, in the organization through the things that you do.
Yeah, sure. We had a company which is now Erasti, which is 60 years in the market. We are in the market for 350 years in some companies. And recycling in the steel industry is and was always more or less in the DNA. So as a European producer of high-performance metals, we wouldn't be able to provide the quality to our customers which is required, not to a competitive price. Mm-hmm. But, and this is what brought us really to the topic of circular economy, and where there is a completely mindset change in the manufacturing system, is that also from a consumer perspective and all the partners in the value chain now think about how can we, via collaboration and with this mindset of circular economy, close the cycles. Mm-hmm. And what does this mean? We are using a lot of precious metals like nickel, cobalt, vanadium, and everybody who is a little bit informed about the raw material industry knows this is coming from countries which might not fulfill all the human right capabilities we want in Europe. So for sure we have to work in the value chain, but on the other side, we have to keep the level of these elements as long as possible in the circles. And this is the mindset of circular economy, away from this linear economy where throw something away, put it on a dumpster or deposit it, really keeping it in the loop. And we defined it with 4 R's. So this is the recycling, what we do for a long time. This is the topic of reuse. I think everybody also as a consumer can work on this topic, the topic of reduce. So this is strongly linked to operational excellence in the value chain, and the topic of remanufacturing. So I think it is important that circular economy is not only recycling, it's really keeping the things as long as possible in the loop. And this is something everybody of us can work on.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting to highlight, keeping the things in the loop. I really like that, keeping them going, reusing them, recycling them, having a green mindset. No, it's all about a holistic approach, really. It has to be, right?
Absolutely.
And also in partnerships with the stakeholders, people in the value chain, really. So I totally agree. So about the pitching today, what would you say to the companies that are about to pitch, to the finalists, no? Like for all of them? What would be your, I don't know, piece of advice that you would like to give them for getting that pilot in 2022?
Have fun.
Have fun? Okay.
I think most of the time we're too stubborn trying to find the best. I think if you have fun, you will get the best performance. And I think they're amazing startups. They went through a process from 60 startups, what I learned, to 8.
Yes.
So there are a lot of good solutions out there. And I think now it's about showing that they're capable of doing this, and also showing them they are keen on getting this.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, the finalists are already winners because they went through a very tough process to be selected to be here. So that's what they need to think. Lucia, what would you tell them? Like if they're like waiting to pitch, they really want to get the project next year, what would be your tip or your...
Actually, I'm looking forward to hearing about this solution, even if I have already got some clues. Because, as Jellify, we invest in a B2B digital startup. So I would like to find some solution I can invest on.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And for sure that the feedback and the insights from corporate are for us crucial to understand key trends that can perfectly match with the solution from the startup ecosystem.
So two different perspectives here, more the investor, the corporate, no, and the approach. So there can be also opportunities for the finalists to get investment. So that's a good thing.
Exactly.
Exactly. They did. I think they didn't know that, but now they know. So Unai, what would you tell them? Like they're maybe pretty nervous. They want to work with you.
Yeah, I will tell that, I mean, it's going to be a roller coaster. I mean, it's going to be tough, but we are going to have good days and days to celebrate as well, I hope. So, you know, I will tell them just enjoy the ride. That's what I will tell them.
Yeah, you're right. Enjoy the ride. Have fun. And to finish up with the tips section, Florian?
So I would advise to take risks. And even if we fail, we can fail fast together and then start stronger and actually be very fast.
That's a very good tip. Like, allow yourselves to fail, no? Why not? Like in entrepreneurship, these kind of programs are quite ambitious, no? Many things need to work together. Let's try, let's see if we can have like amazing projects next year that can be scalable, can be really taken forward to the next level. And we are here to support them, all of the corporates and all of the startups. So I thank the jury members for these insights, for the tips. It has been great to chat with them. I think now, it's time to present the first challenge and the first two pitches of the day. So we're going to understand the challenge more and why it is so important for Eroski to solve it. So before we deep dive into the challenge itself, let's take some time to know more about Eroski. Eroski numbers, they were founded in 1969. They're one of the top retailers for groceries in Spain. They have 1,600 shops all over the country. They employ 30,000 people, and they made in 2020 5,300 million euros in revenue. So you can get a feeling of their volumes. Eroski is on a quest to become more efficient, more flexible, and more sustainable through innovation. This is the reason why they decided to join this crazy adventure of Busta Bridge. And they were bold enough to jump in the boat, and we are so happy to have you. Unai, I'm with you again. So just to give the audience an idea of a wider overview, no? Like, can you tell us a bit more about Eroski's innovation strategy overall?
Yeah, sure. Well, we believe that right now there are many trends impacting the retail business. We have the omni-channel sales, which means that digital and physical needs to combine, they need to live together. We have the silver economy as well, because population is aging, and the way we buy things it's also changing. We have also the rise of some topics like green and local, for example, or the convenience shopping, right? The right here, right now approach, that it's happening at the moment. Well, we believe also that the point of sale, the shop, is where all those trends and worries somehow crystallize. They become visible for the people. People is demanding a lot nowadays, not just to us, but to other companies, to institutions, even politicians, of course, and we have a responsibility about that. In our humble opinion, we think that we can contribute to the society in many ways. For example, we can help people to eat healthier and in a more sustainable way. We are developing technologies as well to make our shops more energy efficient. We are also developing technologies to offer a better customer experience, because people want to buy quicker, fast, free, in a more personalized way, and that's something also we are trying to solve. There is a saying I like it a lot, which says that if you want to travel fast, go alone. But if you want to travel far, go together. So that's what we are trying to do, build together with startups, of course, universities, providers, customers, technological centers, because I mean that's the heart of our open innovation activities. So it's very important.
I absolutely love that statement, no? Like, go together, go further if you want to go together. If you go further, go together. I really like that. That's the whole essence of this program, really. So thanks for sharing that. So as we know, we're going to be listening to 2 pitches today. And the pitchers, the 2 companies, are fighting to get a pilot project financed by EIT Manufacturing next year in 2022. So first, I'd like the audience to understand the challenge that Eroski brought to the table when we asked them. They chose this challenge. So we would like to know what is it about so that we can connect it with the pitches that we'll be hearing later. We make that relationship also for the jury members. Could you kindly explain what it's all about the challenge?
Yeah, we want to optimize the shelf life of our product to make it more cost efficient and to optimize logistics, operations, and at the end, one of the outcomes will be, for example, to reduce the food waste. That's what we want. But it's not an easy task. It's not an easy task because it's you mentioned a few figures at the beginning. Our operations are very complex. For example, we have 1,600 stores. We work with more than 4,000 commercial providers. We make use of more than 300,000 square meters of warehouse surface, and we move every day more than 1 million boxes. Wow. So I mean, it is very complex. Getting to the product, to the exact challenge, we distribute the shelf life of a product in 3 different stages. The first stage, it's about the provider. Then we have logistics and warehouse, and then we have the point of sale. And nowadays, this calculation it's following quite standard rules. No? For example, let's say that one product has 100 days of shelf life. We are requesting the provider to give us the product in the first 25 days. We could have another 25 days to handle the product, to stock it in the warehouse, and then we are saving like 50 days to display the product in the point of sale. Now that's like the regular way to do it. But what happens that each product has different characteristics. The warehouses are different. The provider is giving us the product in boxes, in pallets. So I mean, there are many variables that could be taken into account to make this a standard rule much more efficient, smarter, and we also believe we could implement also an AI model on top of that so we can gain the efficiency we want.
Mm-hmm. I think your challenge is very easy to be understood by everyone because we all go to the supermarket and we buy food. So for us, when we buy food, we want to know that the food that is wasted is the least possible. So this challenge really, I think, is very relevant and quite relatable for all of us. So imagine that you select the right startup or the right scale-up and you do like an amazing project that even scales to all of the whole country. You know, that let's dream here a little bit. What would be the impact of a successful project in the organization? What would really be that you will get?
I will talk about impacts on the whole value chain, not just for us. For example, if we are talking about providers, more than 60% of our 4,000 providers are small agri-food businesses. So if we can be more flexible in our operations to them, it will be easier for them to sell products in retail. Their sales go up, probably. They will generate more and more employment. This will generate more rural development. And from here, we can talk also about a better maintenance of rural landscapes and so on. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, we really believe it's going to play in favor of our providers. On the other hand, we have also customers. They will find fresher, higher quality, more sustainable products on the point of sale. That's also like something that could be something fantastic. And last but not least, for us, we will gain cost efficiency. But it's not just a matter of costs, it's also a matter of food waste. Because if we could also optimize some stock levels in warehouse and at the point of sale, we will need less transportation. So we would also generate a less carbon footprint on the environment. So that will be also a fantastic outcome for the project. And for us, it's very relevant to underline this sustainability topic, because we think that if we can get the product longer on the shelf, or even in the customer's fridge, where 42% of the food waste is generated nowadays, I mean, we could be achieving something wonderful together with the applicants.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense to be thinking of impact at different levels, no? The agriculture, the consumer, even for you as an organization, the food waste, the footprint that you will leave, CO2 emissions. So I think it makes a lot of sense, and we really want this to succeed. So if we have to think of what are the key success factors, the key considerations that you would want to recommend right now for the two finalists to make this a success?
Well, it is related to what I mentioned before. About the complexity of the operations. We have thousands of providers, thousands of different products. Some products needs to be frozen, others needs to be chilled. Yeah, we get boxes from providers, pallets. I mean, there is a miscellany of different variables that needs to be taken into account. That's my advice. I mean, we need to. The evil is in the details. The devil is in the details, right? They say. In this case, we really need to consider all the different variables, because imagine in a worst case scenario, we could be talking about maybe having not sufficient stock in the point of sale. Or some shortage of products, and that could incur in less sales for us. So I mean, that's something we would like to avoid, but
yes.
Hopefully we will not get to that.
Yes, of course. So considering the complexity of data and the different type of products that you have will be a key success factor. This sounds really promising. I really hope that the selected company today will exceed these expectations. But let's not wait any longer. I think Unai and the rest of the jury members, are we ready to meet the two finalists?
Yeah, we are.
Let's do it. The first finalist to pitch today will be Steph Locke. She's the CEO of Nightingale. She has more than 15 years of experience building data and AI solutions across many sectors. They propose to improve operational processes without the need of code. So imagine. Steph, how does it feel to be a finalist in the Eroski Challenge today?
It's awesome. Thank you so much for having us here today.
Great. Also, you're the first one pitching. I don't know if that's the thing you would have chosen or not. I always ask this question. What do you think? Is it okay, or are you going to get it out of the way first?
Yeah, there's no expectations, at least.
Yeah, great. Okay, so very happy to have you here. Congratulations for making it this far. And we are very excited to listen to your pitch now. So please, whenever you want.
So thank you, everyone. You've already heard the briefing about some of the benefits that we'll be able to bring to Eroski and to their supply chain and customers through reducing the amount of lifespan that Eroski need inside their stores and in their warehouse. So tremendous benefit. Let's talk about the solution. So Eroski already have a great technology that they use to integrate their data. What we're proposing to do is to put 4 reusable assets that can be modified and improved over time or reused to be able to drive success. So the first thing is product demand, because as was said, you never want to run out of stock, but you also don't want to overorder. So let's get that product demand forecasted. We then look at how much stock will sit in the warehouse at any given time, for how long, so we know what kind of tolerances we have on making suggestions. And then we're going to combine these to optimize the capability so that we recommend X amounts of pallets and things like that in a report to the procurement team to help with their negotiating with those 4,000 suppliers, a huge workload that we hopefully can make easier. So it's already been covered. We're going to help Eroski save money, reduce the carbon footprint, and grow more sustainably. So the financial impact is reduced unit costs, reduced warehouse costs per unit, lower energy need, you can improve throughput, and cash flow will be improved because you'll only be ordering the right stock at the right time. And this really does have a lot of business impact as well on the sustainability front, less waste, less energy usage. Digitalizing things will be a really great test case for more AI solutions across Eroski to reduce waste. And it will improve partnerships and satisfaction across your supplier network and your employees. Because you'll be saving more, you'll be a healthier business, and you'll be giving your supply chain more time to manage their situation. So we're a no-code digitals AI solutions platform. We're building tools to streamline operations. We're proud scale-up members of EIT manufacturing, and we really care about sustainability and using AI ethically. So we try to participate in policy and partner networks to help communicate the value that AI can bring. I've got the data and tech side of things. So I help with manufacturers, supply chain, retail to do things around the tech side. And Ruth, my commercial director, is phenomenal at taking deep tech and turning it into innovative products and helping scale academic and startup knowledge transferred into large corporates. So thank you all very much for your time. To the jury, I look forward to your questions. And we've also got more in-depth slides and extended notes on this for any additional detail for questions that you might have after the time. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Steph, for the very good pitch and explaining your solution to the detail. You're also on time, so great. So now I'd like to invite the jury members to throw the questions to you.
Well, congratulations. It was straight to the point and right in time, which is always a challenge in this kind of formats. Well, first of all, congratulations again. I would like to especially underline something we really liked about the proposal, and is that you will build the model on our own platform. I mean, we will not be relying on third parties, in which it will be more complicated later on integrate that model in the day-to-day of the business. So in that sense, I mean, that's a very good point for you. I would like to ask you about your previous experiences in working with large corporations. How was it? Because it's complicated. The decision making it's very slow. I mean, it's like the day and the night. What's like very quickly? What can you tell us about this experience you might have before?
Yeah, so I've worked in larger organizations and I've been doing consultancy, and we've been selling into manufacturers now. So we work with organizations with kind of purchasing and project life cycles over a number of years. As a startup, actually projects like this, scoped to have these great deliverables and dedicated start points really help us. But we are committed to the long haul, and we do have a pipeline with large global multinationals that we fully expect to take 6 months or so to finalize.
Okay, thank you so much for that. More questions for Steph?
Yeah, I have.
Yes.
Hi, Steph. Lucia, nice to meet you. I have a question. I have a simple question regarding the optimization module, not about the storage, not about the forecasting. Do you have a proprietary model for optimization, or are you going, or have you planned to build from zero, let me say, a custom software model for Eroski?
A little bit custom, because everybody's data is their own, with their own quirks around business rules. But we'll be using some more standardized open source optimization algorithms to be able to tackle the challenge quickly. And that open source platform will then enable Eroski to continue developing it as time progresses.
Thank you.
Any last very fast question? We have 22 seconds. Anything else that you'd like to add, Steph? Or, yeah, this Philip.
I don't know if it is a fast question, so I speak fast. The supply chain is not really reliable from certain countries at the moment. How you deal with such circumstances?
Well, I think Brexit and COVID are actually really useful for giving us some new data on what disruption looks like and helping us forecast for the unusual kind of black swan type of events. So you have data, we can build things.
Okay,
Thank you.
is it fine with that answer? They just ran out of time, so I was letting her finish. Thank you so much for squeezing in that last question. It was very interesting. Thank you, Steph, for participating and pitching today, and good luck. Will you be hearing the result later today? Bye-bye.
Bye all.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the second pitch for Eroski. Our second pitch will be performed by Roger Agustí. He's the CEO of Prenomics, a startup from Barcelona. In Prenomics, they claim they apply science to improve business. Hello, Roger. How are you doing? How does it feel?
Hi, fine. Pleasure to be here. Thanks a lot for inviting us.
You've come all this way to the final. How does it feel to have been selected, like to be here today after a long process, more than 60 applications? What's your emotion that you can share with us now?
Thrilled. For us, it's very thrilling to be here, and as well, like we know Eroski from our day to day, and it's very emotional to be here pitching for them and be able to participate in this challenge.
Okay, great. We're excited. We're looking forward to listening to you. So whenever you want, please go ahead and share the story you have with us.
Okay, perfect. So let's see if it works. Yeah, okay, perfect. So the problem to be solved is apparently pretty straightforward: to build a model which predicts the optimum number of days assigned to the supplier for every product. However, the optimal is not an obvious choice in this project. It really depends on the discounts and conditions agreed in the negotiations between Eroski and its suppliers. And this data should not be considered as a given, as indeed is an outcome of the bargaining process itself. For that reason, we think that we should not think just on an independent algorithm, but on an interactive tool based on that algorithm that can be used by the purchase managers as an assistant when negotiating discounts with suppliers. In order to build such a solution, we are going to pursue the following three-step strategy. First, modelize the number of days that a product stays in the warehouse as a function of two submodels: daily forecast of sales from the target warehouse and daily forecast of product entry to that warehouse. Second, using this model, we are going to modelize and visualize the expected waste risk, understood as the amount of product wasted as a function of the number of days we give the supplier. Although that is not a direct optimal, this information is very useful as it clearly assists the purchasing manager in the negotiation. And finally, we intend to create a calculator that allows a purchasing manager to run simulations with different hypotheses of discount, volume, and frequency, and obtain the optimal as direct application of the previous model. The result that we'll obtain from this approach would be, on the one hand, the core algorithm written in Python and encapsulated to be deployed in any modern cloud, and on the other hand, the UI for purchasers to consume the data and run simulations executing the algorithm via API. Okay, this whole solution could be easily deployed either in our platform or alternatively in Eroski's infrastructure, as it be the algorithm in pure Python. To illustrate the concept of expected waste that we were talking about, and what do we mean by profit-based optimal, we have created the following toy example. Let's focus on the graphic. On it, we can see two curves. The first one, the waste risk in blue, decreasing non-linearly with the number of days given to suppliers, and the profit curve, which results from computing the discount minus the expected waste. And we'll always have a maximum that in this example can be located at 33 days or 28%. Of days. In case no discount would be provided, the maximum of this function would be on the current 30 days or 25%. So here we can see how important is this approach of thinking the optimal dynamically. Thinking about the potential impact economically, this is just an estimate, but a basic business case based on market data and reasonable hypotheses show potential benefits of several millions per year per retailer. And once proven in a Eroski setup, this solution could be encapsulated and commercialized, either in a shared savings model or as a consultancy project, an algorithm license fee using our software. In terms of scaling, it scales pretty well within Eroski, as it could easily go from one platform to the 10 platforms, and with the whole product range, it's more difficult in terms of going to other suppliers. More adjustments need to be done. Prenomics is a data science consultancy with experts in business, technology, and data. The two founders are mathematicians with complementary background in strategy and full stack development. And in our 3 years, we've worked with companies such as Vida Caixa, Spanish insurance leader, Lontana Group, an industrial group in Euskadi, or Aldi in the FMCG distribution sector. Finally, although there are many risks to be taken into account in this project, a typical and underestimated one is that the solution might not be used by the relevant decisions makers at the end. In order to mitigate this point, it will be very important to build a solution together with them, proactively understanding their needs, proposing solutions, and listening carefully to ensure the new tool fits naturally in their business processes. And that's basically all from my side. Thanks a lot for your time, and in case you have any question, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you very much for the very interesting solution explanation. So now we have like 3 minutes for questions. So please, our dear jury members.
Yeah, I can also jump on this one.
Yes, of course. You're the one that have the most of the questions for them.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Roger. I have to tell you that from all the proposals we got, yours were one of we felt that you understood very well the problem, and that's a point. That's a point for you. And it was also relevant that you are talking about a tool that could help us take the decisions, because of you can forecast the economic impact of the measures you are taking, and that's also something that is great on your proposal. You mentioned that the solution should be hosted on our infrastructure, but then you talk about software of yours, package it for third parties. Can you confirm that you could build a model on our own platform, on Stratio, on a platform like this? Can you confirm that, or that's something open to discussion?
No, it's not open to discussion. Actually, our software basically is a facilitator for companies to easily deploy models built in open standards as Python or as SQL or as R, and we facilitate the deployment of this kind of solution mainly to medium companies or small big companies that do not have a current data platform to streamline this kind of operation. but the model would be completely done in Python, and both the modeling of the forecast and this dynamic calculator in order to assist at the end is a parametric algorithm that we can use our software in order to give you this simulator module that might allow the execution and the visualization of the results of this algorithm in case it's possible to execute them, for instance, through API or any other possible way that the Stratio might allow. Yeah, did I answer the question?
Did he answer?
Yeah, thanks.
Any
Thanks,
follow-up
Roger.
question? Because you will be I think there's no time for additional one. Do you have any, or anybody else has any specific thing that wants to throw?
I have super specific. Which are the steps do you want to put in place in order to first enable human-machine collaboration between purchasing department and software, and then finally give to the software the control?
Could you repeat that? Sorry.
How can you enable human-machine collaboration, purchasing department and your software?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, our software combines the visualization of data coming, for instance, from a data warehouse, with as well the execution of algorithms triggered by a human being without the need of code knowledge. So at the end, we are allowing the purchaser to execute the algorithm with certain parameters and visualize the results in a business intelligence tool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roger, for answering that last question very quickly. So thanks very much to Steph and Roger for the pitches. This is the end of the pitching session for Eroski. Thank you for our esteemed jury members for the very good questions. And we are going to move on to the next challenge for KUKA.
Yes, hello, good afternoon, buongiorno, dear guests, jury members here in the studio, and distinguished audience out in the space in front of the screens. We talked already about Booster Bridge. You know the goals, you know what is going on now. We don't have to repeat this. We can go directly focusing on the next challenge. And the next challenge owner is KUKA. And I'm very, very pleased and honored to welcome here in this jury the representative of KUKA, Mr. Florian Schnös, project manager KUKA.rocks, the robot experience. Hi, Florian, how are you doing?
Hi, Wolfgang, very good, and I'm excited.
Yes, we all share excitement, I guess, in this very nice Boost Up Bridge competition. And before we deep dive into this challenge, let's take some time to talk about KUKA. I think there's nobody out in front of the screen that does not know KUKA. So KUKA is a strong partner, offers customers everything. One face to the customer from a single source, robots, cells, fully automated system. KUKA is one of the world's leading suppliers of intelligent automation solutions. With iKUKA, KUKA introduces a new operating system and ecosystem to make the user experience intuitive, powerful, scalable, and fast. The title of the KUKA challenge, disclosed for the purpose of this competition, is Trust Scan. Sharing reliable quality. Please, Florian, share with us what it's all about.
Thanks, Wolfgang. So I would like to talk a little bit about automation in general first. If we look at automated production systems, since the introduction of the moving assembly line, actually really a lot has happened. The last decades could be described as the automation era. And in the recent years, more and more companies have the need for flexible production system, have the need for efficient and productive automation systems. And with TrustScan, we want to go even one step further. We want to enable distributed production networks by relying on the trust of the partners within this network. So with TrustScan, we want to provide a system which small and medium-sized enterprises can use to actually inspect parts, measure parts, and then rely on the quality of the goods they either send out to their partners in the production networks or take in from partners within the production networks. So this is what the TrustScan Challenge will be about, and it will tackle two aspects. On the one side, the metrology, so measuring the geometry of a part, and on the other side, the surface quality, which is also a very difficult problem in the industry.
Wow, Florian. Listening to you, I already feel like being in the future now. So great. But let's talk a little bit about the past. So we had very good applications towards your challenge. You started a thorough selection process. Can you share a little bit experiences of the selection process, of the quality of the applicants that you had to review?
Of course. So pre-selecting candidates was really difficult. I have to mention that the TrustScan Challenge is not an easy challenge. Both the field of metrology and the field of surface and quality inspection are very difficult fields, which are typically executed by highly trained experts in their field. So you have to have a lot of confidence in actually applying for this challenge. So this is why we were really positively surprised by the amount of applications we received for our challenge. And at the same time, we were very glad about the quality of these applications. Unfortunately, this also made choosing two finalists even harder. So with TrustScan, we have selected now two finalists which really stood out in terms of their software, in terms of their hardware, and in terms of their expertise needed for this challenge.
Sounds great. And obviously, I'm now obliged to give kudos to the members of the BC team who obviously qualified the companies for submitting good proposals. And I'm really honored that you pre-selected good candidates that will compete now against each other. Before we come to it, let's talk a little bit about the impact. I would like to understand, what is your impact? What do you expect? What do you envision?
So with KUKA, we are currently launching a new operating system and also an ecosystem. And this new system is called iKUKA. If we have a look in the past, robotic systems and automation systems often needed highly trained experts to commission these systems and to engineer these systems. With iKUKA, we want to go on a route where even newcomers to robotics and automation systems can build up their system and actually solve their automation problems. And that's why an ecosystem is needed, because we as KUKA are not able to completely solve our customer challenge alone, but we need strong and leading partners inside our ecosystem in order to actually fulfill the job to be done at the customer. So for us, the Booster Bridge is also really a challenge, because our new system is just starting, and if we can solve this Booster Bridge challenge, TrustScan, together with a partner, which is a very hard challenge, we are sure that we can solve almost any challenge.
Sounds absolutely great. I'm curious, so we are going to have a fully automated flexible quality assessment station. We are going to have modern path planning, 3D reconstruction, surface quality assessment, metrology algorithms. So it's exciting. Can you share with us what you experienced before you decided to take this public into your challenge?
Yes, of course. So if we have a look at our daily lives, we see the results of KUKA-based quality inspection systems in our daily lives. For example, seamless car doors or scratchless displays. Now the difference would be that not only the bigger companies shall be enabled to rely on these systems, but actually small and medium-sized enterprises shall also have the chance, and have the chance means on the one side, they have to be easy to use, easy to set up and commission, but on the other side, they also have to be reliable. And with TrustScan, we actually want to combine two leading but still affordable technologies in order to solve this difficult problem of quality inspection.
Okay, thank you very much. So I feel right already taken into this collaborative environment. And before I drift away too much now, let's come back to the focus of this session. Let's come back to the competition. Thank you very much for the interesting insights, Florian. And I really hope that the selected scale-up solution will take you forward in the expected manner. I'm sure that it will lead to a more efficient production process, building on a collision-free, task-based planning, benefiting corporates, intermediates, SMEs of this manufacturing world. I'm sure we will see the benefit in the future. But now, let's be here, let's be now, and let's go to the competition. I'm proudly introducing the first pre-selected candidate. The company is called Roboception. It's a scale-up company from Munich in Germany, and it's presented by its CEO, Dr. Michael Suppa today. Hello, Michael.
Hello, nice to see you.
Roboception offers innovative 3D solutions, hardware and software, enabling any robotic system to reliably perceive its environment in real time. I'm really curious to understand how you want to solve the KUKA challenge, and I'm giving now the floor to you. Michael, it's yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Wolfgang. I'd like to introduce to you our smart Q-scan solution for the TrustScan challenge as introduced by Florian. The key thing is that we have a robot here. The robot has to perform collision-free path planning. It has to do some object recognition to know where the part is, and then perform the quality inspection task based on this. And our idea to solve that is to bring basically different methods, different approaches together on one hardware, being connectable with multiple sensors. So you can see this to the left. You see the robot controller, and then the possibility to do things in the cloud, but also locally on the edge, because in some small and medium enterprises, there may not be any cloud access. How this works, I can tell you on my next slide. Basically, to the left, you have the variety of sensors, some of delivered from us with a low resolution RC wizard, also working on a high resolution system. Also, we are able to integrate a time of flight sensor here for that. We all bring it together in one industrial edge, where we have our CAD match as a tool that basically determines where the part is based on machine learning. And then we have an interface here we call it user space, where we can employ the KUKA path planning that's given to us in this challenge, but also the quality inspection and application in a Docker environment. This makes it very easier to combine the product level that we have already with new applications that are coming in this challenge. So basically, we bring together what we have already to what we're going to be developing in this concept, all on one PC or also in the cloud. To give you a little bit of the value proposition, so we are building on existing products that we can expand by the quality inspection task. We don't need any additional hardware because the sensor is already there and also the edge computer is there. The application side is independent of the used sensor, so we can change that over time. And we have a very good interface in between. GERPC stays the same. We're using X technology, but also we can have it as a local system. So basically, this allows us to go to the cloud, but also locally on site. Easy to use is our dogma. So basically, all solutions that we are doing are made for non-expert users. The financial impact, just in little numbers here. Most of the robots are used actually for machine tending. And what we want to do with our approach, machine tending is CAD match, and we combine it with a quality inspection. So we gain access to all the existing machine tending applications out there in the market where robots are mostly used by just adding the quality inspection part to the robot, because usually robots are not fully involved in quality detection for the time being. So we make use of that to access the market, which brings us a big scalability and access to the market. The scalability here, we can expand it by multiple sensors, we can expand it by different tasks. So basically we have this framework concept which has the product side of it, but also the possibility to easily extend it to other applications, because quality inspection is not always the same. So basically we want to have some variation here without changing the overall concept. The team, so basically will consist of two team members from my side. So it's Elena, she is like the product owner for the reason, very experienced in the field. Felix is doing the DevOps and the deployment side, and me, myself, I'm basically leading this project, being also on the European side responsible for the topic group reception. So also on that side, we have a very qualified team for solving the task. The risk assessment and mitigation you can see here. So we get a couple of thoughts on our work plan. If we don't have the accuracy we need, we can select larger parts for the beginning. If the motion planner and all the software doesn't go on one PC, we can have multiple PCs in the beginning and scale it up to one. So basically also the integration task can be easily satisfied in that sense. Basically, that's what we have. And I'm happy to answer your question to the jury and also to you, Florian, in case you have any more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael, and thank you especially for being in time. So now, let's give the word to the jury. Florian, you want to ask the first question?
Yes, sure. So thank you, Michael, for this really great pitch. I would be interested in terms of your portfolio. You already have a lot of great applications in your portfolio. What would a success mean for your portfolio, and where do you see potential for roboception if we succeed together?
So on the one hand, we have focused on the two domains, industrial automation, logistics. So we are offering products for that. That product means we have just configuration, no individual engineering. And with using that challenge, we also bring like the quality inspection task to that level so that we can really offer an easy to configure solution to the customer that is following our previous products for pelletizing, depelletizing, machine tending. So that's the idea here. So that will really bring us ahead together with you for having more robot applications in the field.
Sounds really great. And I would also have a very quick follow-up question.
Sure.
So you've chosen to develop the RC Cube as an open system with a user space. What has led you to this decision in terms of opening it up?
Yeah, it comes always that usually you have an engineering side in each project. That is what we figured out. And the question is, people don't want to bring a separate PC to that. So usually you want to have an environment where you can put your own code in a Docker in this case. So it's basically protected from the product side. And that allows you to use the same PC, also maybe share the GPU for these applications. And people don't want to have like more than one PC in their application. So this allows us to bring customer specific access to this particular environment.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there another question? Yes, please.
Really nice pitch, thank you. My question is, in the steel industry, we tried already a lot of different measurement systems for forged parts, but also for machine parts. Especially the shininess is something which is at least tricky for us. Where do you see the physical restrictions if it comes to your solution?
So we are applying actually a stereo-based system here that can work with and without a projection. So the benefit of that is that we have the image from two different perspectives. So you can use the left image and the right image. If you have reflections, they may be in the one, but probably not in the other. So we can cover a little bit better this shininess and reflective issue so that we have used to the two viewpoints that possibility. It's much better than many active sensors in that case, and you can scale the resolution. So high resolution for the object inspection, lower resolution for the point cloud within one sensor that's timely calibrated and spatially aligned. So that's the key advantage that we see using that technology.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, dear jury members. Thank you very much, Michael, for the nice pitch, the good answers, and good luck in the competition now. And ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the next competitor. I'm very, very pleased to welcome now the next solution page and to welcome Zane Zhu from Brno in Czech Republic. Zanesu, also a robotics company, is tackling the most challenging tasks in robotic guidance and inspection. Let's welcome Luboš Pšohotaj, co-founder and CEO. Luboš, the floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Luboš. I'm a co-founder of Zanesu. Can you? I'm sharing the presentation. Can you see it?
Not yet. Now we see it. Thank you.
Okay. And what we have been doing is we have been developing a product for a surface inspection from 2017. And all the hardware and software we have developed in-house with our internal teams. Today, we have about 40 employees. The next step for us is to leverage our product and our machine vision expertise and make some kind of universal robotic cell that is suitable for surface inspection, for defect detection, classification, and size measurement. And the product is scalable for a range of industries, including automotive, general manufacturing, and others. And nowadays, as we can see during our visits in the manufacturing plants, is that many robotic automation solutions are just single-purpose machines. Yeah, so those machines are not designed to be adaptable for new products and new inspection requirements, etc. And this is one of the reasons that we have started to concentrate on also smaller installations. So what we have found out is that in order to succeed, we have defined several success factors, critical success factors, and we think or we trust is that it needs to be scalable, and unlike some of our inspection competition, we cover all kinds of challenging surfaces like glossy, machine painted surfaces. All of them are very frequent in the automotive and many other verticals. It has to be adaptable for new inspection tasks. We are designing a cool tool for automated, easy to use tool for setting up new inspection tasks. And also the product needs to be accurate. Yeah, so we have a unique functionality for adaptive zone matching, which is extremely important for precise measurement. And also it needs to be reliable to see what it needs to measure. So it's very important to classify the defects and it knows where to wear. Let me share very briefly some of our production examples. You see the shiny metal parts where we need to do adaptive zone matching, surface structure. We take out all the glares and do the classification. In this case, also the measurement of the pin. And also on the very last slide, you see what we milled surface, which is also one of the very difficult tasks to tackle in machine vision in particular. So from our production projects and market experience, We understand the difficulties and challenges in defect inspection, and this is exactly where we think we can help KUKA and where our goal fits within this challenge.
Thank you very much, Lubos. And now, dear jury members, the mics are open for your questions. Florian?
Thank you very much, Lubos, for this really great pitch. I'm always amazed when I see the results of your measurement system, both in terms of metrology measurements and surface quality measurements. I would have a general question for you as a startup. Starting in 2017, what has played the role of needing hardware for product development because you rely on camera systems? And at what point are you today?
Yes, well, it's not only a camera. The very important thing is also lighting. We created a special lighting system which has not been on the market. It's not on the market as we need it, and we found out it's one of the fundamental things that is very important to tackle all the surfaces done in the CNC machining systems, etc., etc. So it was very, very early in the process where we found out or figure out that this is something that we need to go on and do ourselves because there was not sufficient solution on the market.
Perfect. Thank you. I think this really gives you a competitive advantage in the market. I would have a follow-up question. So we've talked a lot about the technical details of the measurements. I would like to know how can your camera systems, your software, your expertise be brought to the edge and cloud environment?
Yeah, well, this can be. It can run in the cloud. It can run in the edge. It can run in both basically places, and we can do some pre-processing, for example, on the edge. We can do some needed detail processing in the cloud, or depending on the resolution needed, depending on what algorithms you're looking for, and depending on how difficult are the algorithms to be run. It can also run only on the edge or only in the cloud. Yeah, so it can only transfer some images to the private or public cloud and run from there. So far, we have no requirement. We always, from the customers, got the requirement, please do not go to cloud.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lubos. Sorry that the time is counting down already and that we don't have time for further questions. I really see the excitement in the faces of the jury members about both competitors here today. Now it's time for you, dear jury members, for the voting. And big thanks to Lubos, big thanks to Michael for disclosing the way that you want to solve the KUKA challenge. And again, big thanks to KUKA. We are on a collaborative way into the future. We will have significant impact, I think, in the manufacturing world. And I can say from my pure soul position that I'm very proud to be part of it within EIT Manufacturing. So good luck to you all. And dear ladies and gentlemen, in front of your screens, that was the KUKA part of Boost Up Bridge. You hopefully understood very much how KUKA wants to build the bridge into the future. And I'm now clearing my space here for my colleagues so that we can go to the next competition session. Thank you very much. Have a great time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Welcome to the voestalpine High Performance Metal session. So today we are talking about climate change because it's a pressing issue that affects us all. And here we are together with voestalpine and Philip Horner as their representative, discussing about the carbon neutrality and the CO2 tracking transparency and how the industry, the manufacturing sector, is trying to reach these goals. So, welcome, Philip, to the session.
Thank you.
I hope you're quite excited to see the solutions coming afterwards.
Absolutely, really looking forward.
It was a long process, I must say. When we worked together with the scale-ups, we started with 12 scale-ups coming from all around Europe. And today we will see 3 of them actually presenting 2 solutions. So why CO2 tracking is an important topic for voestalpine, Philip?
So I think sustainability is something which not has to be explained at these times anymore. So it is a pressing issue which is more or less everybody's confronted with, be it a consumer, be it industry or whatever. For us, the steel industry, and I think this is a lot in the media, the topic of CO2 is something which is for us, despite for sure other topics of sustainability, the topic where we have to have a really huge challenge. And working for several years in the area of operational excellence, for sure we know you can improve only something if you have the transparency. If you know the levers, if you know where to more or less have to grasp on. And looking in the area of CO2, usually you talk of 3 different scopes. The first scope is our internal emission, so this is what is produced in our mills, in our production sites. This is something where we have a rather good grip on, so we have transparency on this data. The second scope is the scope 2, which is the purchased electricity in our case, or for other companies also heat or cooling or steam, but for us it's electricity. This is also something, if you work closely with the providers of energy, you have the transparency on this. And the third scope, this is the most diverse one. This is a combination of the commuting of your employees, this is your business trips, this is the topic of your logistics, but, and this is for us the most important one, this is also the raw materials you purchase. Mentioned before, we have roughly 80% recycled material, so do the math, 20% if virgin material which is brought to our mills. And this, interestingly, is a topic where the transparency is really low at the moment. So we are confronting our suppliers with this topic as it becomes a more and more pressing issue, but it's not so easy to solve it. And this was the major reason why we said, okay, we will turn every stone in Europe and globally we can find to solve this problem. And we also want to address our startup network. And so we hope and we saw there are good solutions out there, and we want the transparency to know where to touch it.
So it's definitely not an easy task when you depend on others to be so transparent. So you will have 1 year in 2022 to work with the winner from today on a solution. It will be probably not on the level of the full organization, but what are your short-term expectations from the scale-ups?
I think what is really important for us, and this was also a major reason why we chose those 3 finalists, is that they understood that we won't have all the data available in the beginning. So it will be, a part of it will be real data from the value chain, and the other part will be simulated data. So my personal expectation is really in the next year to find a way forward, to find a solution at least for a pilot, be it only one element or maybe one element with one supplier. And based on this, we know how to approach the topic. So if we achieve this in the next 12 months, I would be already rather happy. More is allowed. This is the clear message to the startups. But I think this is really important.
Definitely. Startups should be really reasonable when planning their actions for next year, because due to, let's say, the proof of concept stage, probably they will have, let's say, limited resources and time. However, there are options also to scale forward after that. So what is your long-term strategy in terms of this topic of transparency in the CO2 footprint?
So our clear long-term target is to reduce until 2030 the CO2 emission by 50%, and until 2050 we want to have CO2 neutrality. So first of all, we need to have the transparency, and then to know more or less where are the potentials, and based on this it is a long-term journey. I think if you also look to the Green Deal, etc., which is available, nobody will solve it within the next 2 years. So we are looking for a partner which is going this way with us, and this, for sure, the startup should be part of this journey.
Thank you very much, Philip. Lucia, you are the expert on the topic of green manufacturing. So what do you think about the current situation and trends in the CO2 tracking and the transparency in supply chain?
Thanks. First of all, let's remember that it is about operational excellence. Okay, so the challenge number one is to identify the critical parameters to cut the cost of our manufacturing footprint and make them more sustainable. Okay? Then, second consideration, it is about the fact that it is not just something about technology. I mean, technology can, of course, be enabled for new business solution. For example, probably relationship will move from a pure supplier and customer relationship to an ecosystem-driven business model in order to really enable circular economy. Okay. And finally, regulations. Okay, now regulations are mainly drivers. Okay, to support the companies to have clear KPIs. But at the end of the story, we have to take into consideration that probably in the future, if in our supply chain, if you're not able to make all partners in our supply chain achieve this target, they are out. And if they are out, we miss totally the supply chain. So this solution to enable end-to-end visibility in the supply chain through traceability solution actually can activate new business model for the overall ecosystem. So probably the real challenge is not really technology, because technology can evolve, but the challenge is to identify new business models for the overall network.
And when it comes to suppliers coming from abroad, not Europe, because we know that the EU has certain legislation in place and certain activities in this area to motivate companies to work on the transparency and neutrality. But what happens? Is it feasible that when companies from EU are working with suppliers outside of EU to do this tracking?
To be honest, I don't know whether I have the answer, because it's complex. Probably it's very similar to the code of conduct, even in other fields, not just in sustainability, environmental sustainability. I mean, for sure we can put in place some regulations, like again in code of conduct. But at the end of the story, it's something about culture. If you're not able to influence our overall value chain and the ecosystem even beyond our country, even beyond our region, we need to find another way to make our supply chain really sustainable. So I don't know whether it's feasible. We should work on that.
Thank you very much, Lucia. What about your thoughts on the topic, Philip? Do you think about alternatives when it comes to this kind of suppliers that might not be so open to share information?
I think it was mentioned in a rather clear way. There needs to be a certain code of conduct. Finally, it will depend on all the consumers. So if no consumer is willing to pay the price in the value chain and nobody's interested in the CO2 footprint, the industry can do what they want. It will be rather challenging. On the other hand side, I think it will be a mixture. So we from industry, we have to enable our processes to be CO2 neutral. There will be a lot of technologies available, and they are rather fastly evolving because there's a lot of investment in this area. that we will have the possibility to do this, but there will be a certain cost linked to this. It was mentioned operational excellence is for sure one of the most important topics. Still, there will be the need for a leveling of the playing field. If you have more or less steel producers which produce with a lot of CO2 and you produce with zero CO2 and you have a cost disadvantage and the customer doesn't care about it, in 20 years there will be no EIT manufacturing because there will be not much manufacturing industry in Europe. But I'm fully sure that this will be not the case, and there needs to be, I think, a pressing from every side, be it the consumers, be it the industry, be it the politics. Otherwise, I think sustainability is nothing you can solve in your office. This is really a joint and collaborative topic, and I'm fully sure that this will be reachable.
Thank you very much. Definitely a quite interesting topic, and we are really glad that you chose this specific challenge in order to address it together with us and the scale-ups in the coming months, because probably it will help also other industry partners to follow the path and also to maybe be the next users after you develop something together with the scale-ups. So looking forward to what will happen after this pitching session. And we have two finalists today, of which one is a consortia of two scale-ups. We have Chain Traced from Sweden, and we are very, let's say, sorry to hear that the CEO, Victor Andersson, cannot be together with us today as planned. He had a small accident. We all wish him to be well soon. However, we have a representative, the CTO from Chain Trace, Johan Leidung, with us today. He had a really short time to prepare for the pitch and to replace Victor. But Johan, I hope you're ready. You should be always ready, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you hear me well?
Perfect. So how do you feel? Is everything good on that side?
Yes, I'm ready to go. I feel good.
Okay, we received the proposals in detail, and also the jury member could read the full version of the proposals before the event today. However, we have a short session of pitching where the brief presentation from Chain Trains will be showcased. So, Johan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Are you able to see my screen yet?
Yes.
There we go. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Johan Leiden. I'm the CTO of Chain Trace, and as mentioned, taking over for Victor today. So Chain Trace is a digital traceability platform that enables a digital twin to live for metallic products, both for product level and lot level data. Today we're up and running, and we're exchanging data in the supply chains and value chains for certain companies, data such as quality and process and environmental data. In regards to this challenge of CO2 equivalents, we are going to do a combination of actual data and an estimation, where the actual data is collected from the supplier directly or their sub-suppliers, depending on how far down the supply chain you go. And the estimates are calculated based on similar products and the country energy mix, for example. So in the case where you're gathering actual data from your suppliers, they would simply log on to our platform where they enter the data that they've received from whatever qualification methods they've gone through. This is done so that we have traceability on the data. We know who entered it, we know which company has supplied it, and we have all the different steps of enrichment on the way up the value chain. Estimations on the data is done by a combination of country of origin, transportation method, and manufacturing process. So the transportation method is going to be calculated basically by knowing the transportation method and then the distance between the U and the origin of country. while the manufacturing process is calculated by the energy consumption for that process multiplied by the energy mix of that country. This data is backed up by a few different external databases and sources for us, as well as the actual data that we will receive in the platform over time. The platform shows, and we talked about transparency before, so it's really important to show when there's actual data being inputted and when there's been estimations, which is clearly seen in our platform. Our solution is ready to start today with both actuals and estimates. And given the nature of how we're collecting this data, we will improve the estimations over time, because estimations, especially on CO2, as you all know, is really hard. So the best way to do the estimations is with actual data. So therefore, it will improve over time. The solution scales well with Vostoppin. Whether or not it's about onboarding suppliers, which we have extensive knowledge of, or pushing this out throughout the supply chain. We can also facilitate other data collections, such as quality data and process data, if that's of interest. We talked about transparency before, and we think it's really important with both transparency and trust on CO2. So our platform is built on that, where all the data inputs are traced, so you can always know where the data that you're looking at is coming from. We're a digital platform for metallic product value chains. We have initial traction from leading steelmakers and industry companies. And the key takeaway from our platform is that we bring value to all parties in the value chain with support modules for processing or assembly or other kind of manufacturing processes that needs to be supported. So it's not just a traceability platform. It's very usable for all the parties. We also have extensive industry expertise, with, for example, in quality assurance, environmental declaration management, and through different industry profiles. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Johan, for being quite accurate, and congratulations on the great pitch. You did it great. I would now ask questions. Maybe, Philip, you can start, as you're the most informed about the challenge.
Yeah, sure. Thank you much. Really, really good pitch and completely on time. I have two questions. The first one is in the direction you mentioned. You have already several customers using this. Who would be the owner of the generated data? Because we would talk to our suppliers. This would be then more or less generating more and more transparency. Who would be the owner at the end? Is it ChangeRace or would it be voestalpine?
That's depending on the platform, but it's obviously we don't own any data from you. You can always extract it from our platform, and basically the answer is that you would be the owner, but we of course need to use that data for certain functionalities within our platform. But that's done through the terms of service, and we're flexible on that, of course. It also depends on who has inputted that data through the system, because this is going to eventually be implemented through a supply chain. So there will be multiple companies, and you will essentially be using data from other companies to calculate your end result. So yeah, I'm sorry if that's not accurate answer enough, but
yeah, it can be part of the negotiation.
Yeah, exactly.
The second question, we're already using a SRM solution where you also request a lot of information from the suppliers. Is your solution able to be implemented in the most standardized SRM solutions, or is this more or less a second solution which needs to be used by the purchaser?
No. So our customers today are both using the system directly, and others are like to almost 100% using it through integrations. So it entirely depends on what infrastructure you have currently and what kind of integration possibilities there are, basically. We're offering our service both as a backend for integrations, but also for front end. And we think that's really important to be able to quickly roll this out through the supply chain, because oftentimes you meet smaller companies that might not have an IT manager, or maybe they have long-running projects. So then it's important to have a really good front end that they can work on from day one. So it's to answer your question, it's a combination of whatever works best for you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johan. Any other questions from the jury? Yeah. Please, Lucia.
Sure question. I appreciate a lot the fact that you developed a vertical on steel industry. My question is it mainly a strategic focus, or have you developed a specific technology for this industry?
I would say it's more a strategic focus. This data is looking quite similar throughout other industries. It's mostly terminology that you can change. And of course, there are individual processes you need to take respect of. But our system is moldable in that way when we choose to move to another industry.
Thanks. I appreciate your transparency. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Johan. I wish you good luck. And stay tuned for the announcement of the winners later. And now,
Okay, thank you.
Now we continue with the second finalist, that is the last one for today. We have Paul Nitschmann coming from Climametrics. Paul is presenting today the solution that is proposed by Climametrics from Germany, together with Tributech from Austria. And this is a nice consortia that had formed during the Booster Bridge process. We are really happy that you chose to work in a collaborative mode. So, Paul, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Perfect. I hope that you can share your presentation easily with us.
Yeah, I tried to. I already should be sharing. I'll try again.
Okay, it's perfect. So we see it. You have 4 minutes. Please start.
Cool. My name is Paul, and I'm responsible for sales at Climametrics. We are working together with Tributech in that challenge in order to play both to our strengths. Climametrics builds software that helps enterprises to calculate, track, and report their corporate and product carbon footprints. And Tributech builds trustworthy data ecosystems across company boundaries. So in this challenge, basically, Climametrics will take over the calculation part, and Tributech will conceptualize a data infrastructure that is scalable across all suppliers. Let's go to the next slide here. So Climametrics offers several software modules that calculate basically all categories of the greenhouse gas protocol, but we can report to any of the common reporting standards. I want you to focus on just the pictures here. So our supply chain module process overview, the supply chain module is the one which is the best one in order to build a state-of-the-art reporting of Scope 3 emissions for voestalpine. We focus first on calculation and prioritization, then on validation by suppliers, and third, on monitoring and management. You have to imagine the following. We get data input, primary data by voestalpine, which you can see in the middle of the screen. And we will build a prediction model, basically, to calculate the carbon emissions from upstream suppliers. We are very good in filling data gaps, meaning if there's not all primary data available, that's no problem for us. We are filling data gaps by either secondary data, so provided by suppliers, or by adding emission database values or doing assumptions. We will then, in the first step, focus on the top suppliers in the carbon emissions, kind of. And as you can see, we'll have product emissions, transport emissions. For example, for transport emissions, we are connected to a database that has the shipping movements of the last 10 years. So our company really is focusing on predicting a very good CO2 emission for all the suppliers. In the second step, the supplier will be able to validate, for example, production sites, countries of origin, raw materials, and so on. And then the last step, we'll have a monitoring solution. Climametrics can report to all common standards like the Greenhouse Gas Protocol, GRI, ISO, and the CDP. And Tributech in this challenge will conceptualize a technical infrastructure concept for trustworthy data sharing in the cross-company data ecosystem. We identified 4 potential areas financially impacting your future business. We think it's very important to facilitate supplier processes across all suppliers and have a really broad infrastructure that can scale. We think it's very important to have a better understanding and handling of carbon emissions, obviously. We'll have an increased transparency across the supply chain and, as I just mentioned, a very well business scalability. Our teams are Climametrics. Climametrics is built by serial entrepreneurs, and we're focusing on really hard calculation challenges, as we have worked with the ING Bank and calculated their portfolio, as we have worked with one of the top 3 construction firms in Europe. And we have successfully completed many difficult calculation challenges our competitors didn't even dare to try. And Tributech is a very tech-savvy team that is already working with voestalpine in predictive maintenance services in the global refractory business. So we think we're both playing to our strengths. Climametrics in filling data gaps, reporting to all accredited standards, and basically calculating the emissions, and Tributech in building a very scalable technical infrastructure connecting to the upstream suppliers. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Paul. Quite on time. I would now ask the jury if there are any questions, but Philip, I would like to start again first with you.
Thanks for a great pitch. I think I would need a little bit more time, but let's see. What was your intention to join up with Tributech?
Well, as I explained, Tributech is already working with voestalpine in another part of their business. So we think that Tributech already knows voestalpine and knows the team. So Tributech is very good in building technical infrastructure and will help us to connect to the upstream suppliers, and they will conceptualize in this first stage of the challenge exactly that data infrastructure and the technical scalable infrastructure. Climametrics will take over the emission of the calculations. The calculation of the emissions, and we'll build a prediction model for all the suppliers that is based on the primary data by voestalpine, and then increases in quality over time by adding secondary data or data from the databases we're connected to.
Okay. In one sentence, you mentioned you're the best for voestalpine for Scope 3. Why?
Well, Scope 1 and 2 is actually easy to calculate. Scope 3 is where the magic happens, I would say. So I think that since we have, with our supply chain module, done that, for example, one of the top 3 construction companies in Europe, and we are actually working with some of the customers of voestalpine already, like later down the supply chain, I think we will be able to provide the best solution in the end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Well, yeah, I can go in. I was thinking in this the chicken or the egg dilemma, because you mentioned that of course you need to get traction, so you need big suppliers. Then the value chain of the big suppliers, and I'm mentioning this because, for example, in the food vertical, something like that happens. If you get a distributor, then you can push providers. So you get, you can convert. And standard, from that point. I don't know how is the business model of this of a solution like this one. I will be quite direct. Who pays for it? It could be like the distributor paying for it, the big supplier. There's a fee every month, every year per information. I don't know if you can explain us a bit about that.
The business model is we're software as a service, so and we have data services in our data team, so we are paid by our customer. But in the end, as soon as a big customer like voestalpine tries to work with its suppliers, maybe there will be deals found there as well to answer that question. But our service is software as a service and data services, data and calculation services.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Paul. Please stay with us until the end of the event in order to find out if you won the challenge from voestalpine High Performance Metals. I would just say to everybody that today we had really nice 6 speeches. We had 7 startups, and also we had the opportunity to learn more about Eroski, about KUKA, about voestalpine and their innovation challenges. So stay tuned for the winners. We will announce them in a while, but before that, we are going towards the next session. That is the Agora platform of EIT Manufacturing and our colleague from innovation team, Mr. Eduardo Rota.
Hello everybody and welcome back live. My name is Eduardo Rota, EIT Manufacturing Innovation Manager, and today I'm here with Klaus Pitz, our CEO, and with my colleagues connected remotely from around Europe, we will present to you today Agora in the next 40 minutes, our open innovation platform. So before we start, very briefly, the agenda of the day. We will start with a welcome from Klaus. Then we will introduce to you Agora. So what is it, why you should join, and how to join. That is very easy, actually. And then we will jump into the service, into the platform. So we will show you what you can find if you, as we hope, you decide to join the platform. And we will end with a Q&A session. So if you have any question during the presentation, please use the Q&A box so we can go through at the end of the presentation. So Klaus, very happy to be with you today, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Eduardo, for the nice introduction. And I'm very proud today to start the presentation of Agora with this quote by Henry Ford, a famous and well-known industrialist. Coming together is the beginning, staying together is a progress, and working together is a success. And this quote represents quite well where we are as innovation community dedicated, as a European innovation community dedicated to the manufacturing domain, where we are and where we want to go by uniting a relatively fragmented industry all over in Europe. We already opened Agora in June, and some of you may have already joined and explored and tested what you will see later on by the team that will represent Agora. And for us, this marked really a milestone, a cornerstone for our development as an innovation community, a new way how to connect the manufacturers all over Europe, online, connected across the continent. And we have been building over the summer new services, new features within the platform, and we are happy today to show it to you. We have grown to more of 500 members now. And we want to say thank you for those who stayed with us from the beginning with our journey and who were with us since June on our journey to bring together a relatively fragmented community all over Europe on Agora by manufacturers, for manufacturers, the Open Innovation Platform. And now let's get ready and explore and bring the community to a next level. Thank you, Eduardo. I would like to hand over to you.
Thank you, Klaus. And now it's time to know why you should join Agora and how to join it. So I guess connected from Paris, there is my colleague, Nina Neisman, Innovation Platform and Community Manager. So please, Nina, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Eduardo, and hi, everyone. So as mentioned, my name is Nina Neisman. I'm the Innovation Community and Platform Manager at EIT Manufacturing at the headquarters in Paris. So you'll heard bits and pieces about Agora already, but I wanted to share a little bit more about why and how to join it. In short, what is Agora? It's an online meeting point for all those working or studying at graduate level in the European manufacturing community. So it's a place to network, collaborate, and discover the latest issues in the industry. And as mentioned by Klaus already, since we opened the platform in June, we have already nearly 600 members and are growing every day. So why should you take time out of your busy day to join Agora? We see the platform as bringing together the best of LinkedIn and various internal office systems, sharing systems that you use, because it gives you an opportunity to connect and broaden your network with relevant people in your field and have access to ready infrastructure and tools for cross-organizational collaboration, from video conferencing to file sharing, all in one place. As also mentioned, Agora is a space to discuss and share ideas, challenges, and solutions directly with peers. For example, through the Shape It consultation process that my colleague will talk about later. And we want everyone to feel secure and comfortable sharing on Agora. And that's why we carefully review all requests to join to make sure that the people joining are related to the European manufacturing industry and have something to offer the community. And the platform is also fully GDPR compliant and hosted in Europe with the highest certification from ANSSI, which is the French cybersecurity agency. So we do take the security seriously. And finally, one of the reasons we set up Agora is that we've heard the request from partners for more ways to hear about what's going on within EIT manufacturing and ways to get involved. And so Agora is built around groups and services called spheres, and there are dedicated spheres for all our different areas of work, like the business creation team, the education team, risk and innovation, to help you stay updated and get involved. So As you may have noticed by now, and you'll hear from some other colleagues soon as well, EIT Manufacturing is striving to create content and opportunities to connect and exchange online as well as offline. And we see Agora as an opportunity for us and for the community and for your organization to bring together this fragmented landscape of manufacturing actors across Europe and across different manufacturing sectors. And we're continuously developing new services. So in our pipeline, for example, we have plans to provide opportunities to look for and find short or long-term experts on specific topics, or help organizations identify new EU funding to access, as well as build a community around green and circular trends, which we've heard about just now as well on these topics in the Boost Up session. So, and for those on Agora, we invite the community to participate in a survey that's currently ongoing to share views on what you would like to see on the platform. And if you're already running a community or are involved in an EIT manufacturing project and want to benefit from our already set up pan-European infrastructure, do reach out to us. Our ambition is to become the reference community for the European manufacturing industry. So we want to make it as valuable and useful for you as possible. It's the community that makes it after all. So hopefully at this point you're asking how to get on board. It's very easy and it doesn't take long. You'll just have to head over to agora-eitmanufacturing.eu and click on the request to join button. Important point here is that we ask you to use your organizational email address when signing up and give a brief response to our question on what you do in the European manufacturing community and your motivation to join, so that we can assess your application quickly. And once accepted, you will get a welcome email to set up your account and log in. So thank you for your time, and now back to Eduardo.
Thank you, Nina. And as you anticipated, on Agora, Agora is not just a meeting point, but it's also a place where we share curated content and last trend, key technologies. So we decided, in fact, to launch like a few months ago, an initiative called Tuesday from Futures, who is an innovation web series where we present very key trends and hot topics. But I don't want to tell you more now, and I will present a video in a few seconds where you can see what is happening on Tuesday from Future and let's say how to join and be part of this innovation web series.
After looking at the landscape of manufacturing, with the combined experience and expertise in the field of Industry 4.0, EIT Manufacturing Community identified emerging topics with potential for transversal and wide-scale effects in the near future. Tuesdays from Future is an innovation webinar series where leading experts present and discuss the latest insights on real-life use cases, forthcoming scientific achievements, and new technologies, 5G, including Edge and Edge AI, cybersecurity and Factory 4.0, the role of blockchain in manufacturing, carbon footprint reduction, circular economy, and many more. Hungry for more? Interested in white papers, tech radar, or designing your own webinar? Head over to Agora, our open innovation platform. EIT Manufacturing, making innovation happen. Contact us at innovation@eitmanufacturing.eu. EIT Manufacturing Community identified emerging topics with potential for transversal and wide-scale effects in the near future. Tuesdays from Future is an innovation webinar series where leading experts present and discuss the latest insights on real-life use cases.
Industrial manufacturing and all the electricity related to this industry contribute, as we all know, roughly about 50% of the so-called overall greenhouse gas emission in the globe.
which really puts a lot of responsibility on us in order to figure out what do we need to do if we're trying to reduce global emissions moving forward. Something which I can call like a dummy's guide, you could say, to GHG emissions, which helps you understand what emission you need to focus on based on your industry. Like, what are you doing? Where is the emission source? What is the greenhouse gas that's coming out? But more importantly, how does this fit into the scope of the standards for measurement? A lot of companies today are really depending on tech-based solutions. This can be either by the use of advanced materials, or if you want to use AI or even advanced forms of AI like TinyML.
What are you doing concretely yourself to reduce the CO2 footprint in your offices or factories?
Industry 4.0 and additive manufacturing can support the shift toward more sustainable manufacturing process. So with Fenice, we contribute to this by almost eliminating the CO2 emissions from the feedstock production.
I just wanted to start with asking, for what purpose are you doing digital transformation?
Is really to take advantage, competitive advantage from the opportunity that data availability provide us in terms of process optimization, cost optimization, and in terms also of new business area creation.
How to provide small parts of technology in combination with partners like system integrators, cloud, OEMs, and maintenance companies.
Nowadays, the industrial environment, there is a competition that is very intense, and this is partly also due to new technologies that enable new market entries, newcomers to enter the markets and to be competitive.
Around 98% of sensor data is actually thrown away. We don't use it today. Not because of anything else, not because it's useless, but simply because of the fact that it's too expensive to put all this data to the cloud, make some machine learning on it, figure out some pattern, come back and do, the preventive kind of maintenance if you want to do.
The roles of one application versus an infrastructure versus the data provider, they can move and change.
There are already a lot of startups, but what they often lack is the background knowledge about what do the large corporations look.
Hungry for more? Interested in white papers, tech radar, or designing your own webinar? Contact us. EIT Manufacturing, making innovation happen.
Great, hope you enjoyed the video. And if you want to have a look at the entire session that we have so far, you can join Agora, look for Tuesday from Future logo, and have a look at the white paper and the presentation we had. And if you want to see the new episode of this session, of this webinar, you can join us. And next week, we will present blockchain white paper. And actually, I see that there is my colleague, Teresa Hernandez from CLC West, from San Sebastian, connected here. And she will moderate the next session of Tuesday from Future. But now, Teresa, I will leave the floor to you because I know that you want to speak about the future of manufacturing.
Thank you very much, Eduardo. I'm Teresa Hernandez, Innovation Manager at CLC West. And I would like to speak with you about the future of manufacturing. First of all, we all know that manufacturing is facing a lot of challenges today. And one of those challenges is the changing pattern of consumption and also the request from customers of personalization. Also, the pollution is one of the biggest challenges in manufacturing, and inclusion and the consume of energy. And we know that at the heart of the solution of those challenges is technology. And that's the reason we have created the radar. Next slide, please. So the radar, it's a map of technologies. It's an instrument that contains all the technologies that are paving the way to the future of manufacturing. We are aiming to create a landscape, a place where everyone can find the biggest and most relevant technologies that will help us to create the future of manufacturing. This radar contains 40 technologies. Yes, please, next slide. That we have identified that are key for the future of manufacturing. And we have grouped those technologies into 4 trends. And I would like to speak to you a little bit about these 4 trends. The first trend is hyperflexibility. And we all have been going through this pandemic, and we have all the countries will have suffered the scarcity of products that were very needed during the pandemic, like face masks and the ventilators. And this is why hyperflexibility is one of the trends for the future in manufacturing. We need to make our factories more flexible. And within this trend, we can find technologies like industrial 3D printing and also more future forward thinking technologies as the programmable liquid metal. These technologies will help us to make manufacturing more flexible. The next trend is about human and machine collaboration, and it's not about automation like in the past. We are trying to create environments where humans and machines can collaborate smoothly in order to increase well-being, health, and happiness of the workers. We can find technologies within this trend like exoskeletons that will make humans stronger and will make them perform more difficult tasks. And also we can find technologies as the artificial superintelligence, which is the technology that will surpass human cognitive capabilities in the future. The next trend we have is the factory floor orchestration. And this is a trend in which components, machines, workers will need to work together and collaborate together in a smoothly way. And in this trend, we can find a technology that we call robot communication interface. And this robot communication interface is ways to communicate with robots smoothly. We are collaborating with a startup that is called Simsoft at EIT Manufacturing, and Simsoft is creating the Alexa for factories. So workers can have an assistant to perform their tasks while working in the factory. We also have technologies like edge computer connected with this technology that will allow to decrease latency in the communications and will help to perform operations in a very smoothly way in the factories. And the last trend we have in the radar, which is location-independent factory, this is all about remote working. And you can see digital twin, which is a very broadly known technology that it's exploring right now. And in this technology, we are collaborating today as well within our organization with a startup that is called Infinite Foundry. And they can create these 3D digital plans in order to allow to create this digital twin for all the floor of the factory with all the machines, and then you can connect it with the sensors, and you can organize much better the layout of your factory. And in this trend, we can also find technologies as the metaverse. It's a technology that is creating a lot of discussion within Silicon Valley because it's about creating virtual worlds in which we can join and we can become different persons. And the metaverse is a very interesting concept in manufacturing because it will allow us to create virtual factories and explore and pilot different things within those factories in order to learn and understand without making it necessary to build the whole structure. And the vision we have is we want to make the radar to become the place where you can find the inspiration, the place where you can find the wisdom, the place where you can find the connections as well with technologies in order to create the future of manufacturing. One of the features of its technology in the radar is to allow you to learn which are the organizations that are working with certain technologies. And this can allow you to connect with those organizations in case you are interested to learn more about the technologies. So thank you very much for your time. You have this QR in this slide in order so you can get your phone, look at the QR, and you will get a direct link to the radar. You can also find the radar within Agora. And what we would like to invite you is to explore the radar, share it with whoever you consider that can be interested in it. And of course, if you want to contact with us and give us feedback, we will be more than welcome to receive your comments. Thank you very much for your time, and we hope you enjoyed the radar.
Thank you, Teresa. Very looking forward to live this future. And now we move back to Paris in our headquarters because there is Cécile Scott, our innovation program manager, connected, and she will present Shape It. Shape It is our consultation process, as we said before. And well, Cécile, the stage is yours now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Eduardo. So I'm Cécile Schott, Innovation HQ Program Manager, and I'm coordinating the Shape It process. So first of all, what is Shape It? It's a collaborative consultation process that involves the whole European manufacturing community. It's open to all. And the idea is to co-create together the thematics for the 2023 call for proposals. It's the first time such a process is used for the manufacturing, and I think it's a great opportunity. It's a 3-step process which has already started, and it's still time for you to join. It is happening on Agora, our social innovation platform that Nina already introduced. So, the 3 phases, I will go into more detail about them. The first stage was the idea generation, which started on the 6th of September until the 27th. And that stage, the idea was for people to write contributions, get some ideas, what would be the manufacturing priorities. And we also posted different articles to inspire our community. The second step is about hotspot creation. This started in end of September and it's finishing next Monday. So for you, it's still time to join. That's the final run now, final rush, and we are also looking for all contributions. First of all, what is a hotspot? It's when we have a manufacturing challenge, a need, which is not met, and we define a hotspot as a match between the enabling emerging technologies that Teresa presented, for instance, and that manufacturing challenge or need. And so again, it's a co-creation process with a team with a diverse background from academia, from industry, and from different industrial sectors. After the hotspots have been created, the team have to write a canvas, and there will be some explanation about what are the potential of that thematics, how to mobilize the community, so we have provided all the tools to do that. And then the final step will be after the 25th of October until November the 8th, is the selection of thematic. And for this, there will be a peer evaluations based on quantitative criteria. And there will also be a social vote where everybody who is on Agora can participate. Finally, there will be the decision for the shortlisted list of thematics in November. And this will be done by 22nd of November. So I want to give you an update where we are now. So the first one about idea generations, we had about 250 participants. Among them, 10% were very active, and they generated over 70 plus contribution. So we are now in October in the phase of building hotspot. And currently we have 7 hotspots. So you can see here a wide range. For example, about supply chain resilience, cybersecurity. Also, you have smart manufacturing and recycling processes. I have to say our community has been extremely active. So since Friday, we have an additional 9 hotspots. So in total, we have now 16. So I invite you to go on Agora and Shape It to check them out. I will not tell you now all about them, but really there are really a huge variety of topics. And my last message to you is that Shape It is really a unique opportunity for the voice of your organization to be heard. You can also, it's an opportunity for you to expand your network and do matchmaking. You get to shape and co-create the possible thematics for our future call of proposals. And last but not least, you can inspire and be inspired to solve industry challenges for a stronger European manufacturing ecosystem. So that was my introduction to Shape It. And I will hand over to Eduardo to see if there are any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cécile. And as you said, there is still time to join Shape It and to take part of the consultation process. I see that there are no questions at the moment, but in case you have any doubts, any question you want to ask us, please use the agora@eitmanufacturing.eu email address to ask us whatever you want. And of course, I really hope to see you on board soon and to keep talking, continue the conversation, exploring the future of manufacturing with you and Agora. So I kindly invite you to join, to register on Agora using your company email address. And well, I would like to thank you all, to thank you, Klaus, to be with me today, and to thank all my colleagues connected remotely. And now, in a while, it's time to find out.
May I say a final word?
And yes, of course, Klaus.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you, the team that prepared Agora, that prepared these presentations. And I hope I will meet you all virtually on Agora. And I'm open for all your questions you might have around Agora, but also to EIT manufacturing as a whole, how to join us, how to work with us. So I'm looking forward to meet you on Agora.
Thank you, Klaus. And now, in a while, it's time to find out who won the Boost Up competition, Boost Up Bridge competition. So thank you. Good afternoon.
And welcome back. After such great pitches, our jury has been deliberating, and I have to tell you, for each challenge, it was quite tight. So we're now about to announce the winner, but before we do that, I'm going to remind you what each winner will actually receive. So first, they have the chance to implement their solution with our corporate partners in the course of the year 2022. They'll receive 50,000 euros in terms of a cash prize to actually implement their solution. And they'll receive a tailored package of business creation services that will be delivered over the course of the year. That, in addition to visibility and publicity through our EIT manufacturing channels. And of course, they'll become part of the EIT manufacturing community. So, without further ado, let's get started. If we start with Eroski, the Optimizing Product Shelf Life Challenge, I'm going to ask Unai if you can announce the winner.
Yes, sure. Well, the winner for Eroski's challenge is Prenomics. So congratulations.
Very good. We're going to have Roger connected to the screen if you want to say a few words. How are you feeling right now?
Really big honor to be able to work for such a company, and we are very happy and looking forward to start with it. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations. We're very much looking forward to welcome you into the EIT manufacturing community, and I'm sure we wish you all the best for your project as you deliver it over the course of 2022. Next up, if we go to the KUKA challenge, Trust Scan, Sharing Reliable Quality. Florian, I'm going to ask if you can announce the winner, please.
Of course I can. And the winner is Roboception.
Congratulations, Roboception from Germany. Michael, we have you online. Could you tell us how you're feeling right now?
Yeah, I'm feeling honored, and I'm really looking forward to work with KUKA on that challenge and making the next step in quality inspection. Very happy and pleasure.
Congratulations again.
Thanks, Michael. I'm also excited.
Thank you.
And last, but of course not least, if we go to Vestelpine for measuring and modeling CO2 emissions. Philip, would you announce the winner?
Absolutely. First of all, I just have to say that it was really a close competition, but finally we decided to go with the company ChangeWaste. Congratulations, Johan, and all the best to your CEO, and maybe it's a nice plaster to make him healthy again.
Thank you so much.
Johan, how are you feeling right now?
Amazing. It's really great to work on this challenge with you. Such a great company and such an important challenge as well to solve. I'm really happy. Thank you.
Looking forward.
Very good. Thank you, and again, congratulations to all of our winners, as well as to all of the startups who pitched today. We know how much effort you've put into your presentations, and we really appreciate you being part of the Boost Up Bridge. On that note, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody. Klaus, do you have any closing words?
Yeah, also from my side, a big thank you to the jury. I was happy not to be part of the jury, but for me, if I looked at a pitching, it would be very difficult whom to choose. So well done by the jury. They have done really a good job. Thank for all the startups that participated, those were selected for the pitching today. A big thank you. A big thank you to the team of EIT Manufacturing who organized this day and organized all behind the scene, to Anna and all the business creation managers. So a big thank you to the team, and that's from my side.
Thank you, Klaus. On that note, we're going to say thank you very much, and we'll see you at our next Boost Up competition in 2022. Take care.